just back from the game fair. Good to meet a few people there. It was a good show. It was quite muggy, quite hot. And I think the lack of phone signal upset quite a few people. But generally I thought it was a really good show. We had a lot of fun with the Guns on Pegs boys doing the podcast in the Carter Jonas tent. So I don't know if any of you have heard that, but we had a lot of fun doing it. So hopefully you enjoyed it too. So we are nearly at D-Day. It's Tuesday afternoon. I'm just coming around doing a few last minute checks and little bits and bobs. Our birds arrive on Friday first thing. You probably see this thing buzzing around my head. I've given up on most of the insect repellents. We've got a lot of horseflies and other bitey things down in this particular wood, and I tend to come up in great big hives from them. So I'm giving this a go. It does look bloody stupid, I know, but it's a plastic dragonfly on a bit of a spring. Clipped it onto my hat, and although I've been bitten twice, I must admit so far it seems to be a lot less bitey than it usually is. So anyway, let me just show you around where we are now with the pen. We're pretty much ready to receive the birds. We set a trial bit of water in the tanks, so we know we've got a bit of a leak somewhere, so we can address that. Hopefully tomorrow there'll be a couple of us down just doing last minute bits and bobs. And the electric fence seems to be shorting somewhere. Battery life is a bit low, so I've been around again twice today. I can't spot it yet. I think we need a bit of peace and quiet. Put a fully charged battery on and see if we can hear it ticking anywhere. But we've had that on now, off and on for the last couple of weeks. We've had the dogs through. Dogs are with me today. I'll show you Toby in a minute. He's found the goose grass, so that's going to be a long evening with the brush this evening. But yeah, we're looking ready to take the birds down here. So just show you around where we are, and I think if I can, we'll maybe try and put in a little clip of what it was like last year and what it was like when we took it on the spring before. So a lot of our work is coming good now. We've got a hell of a lot more cover, and we're slowly starting to achieve that patchwork of different habitats within the pen that we were going for. So we've got some mature trees, we've got some lower shrubs for roosting, and we've got some low cover and also some open bits in the sun where the birds can dry off if it's been raining, get a dust bath, and hopefully enjoy being here. So first things first, let me show you Toby. Hello Willow. Yeah, looking forward to getting all of those out tonight. Oh boy. Right, so same as most years, we've got our main feeding right up the middle here. Yeah, so we've had the rat traps around the outside for a couple of weeks now. We're going to get a fresh bit of straw in and just straw this main ride up through the middle. And this is where we'll be, right from day one, we'll be hand feeding on the whistle some micronized maize. We're going with the top hat feeders right through. We've got 6 in at the moment, but I want to get another 2, possibly 4, bring us up to 10. We've got 400 birds coming in. So if we can get to 10 sensibly, that'll give us our 40 birds per feeder recommended. You can see here now, this bank is where we built the brash piles from the hazel withies here. We had a few windfall trees and we took one down. There was a sycamore that was leaning over, and even just in that time, it's amazing how that cover is really starting to grow. This was completely naked bank, absolutely no cover for the birds, and they didn't like it. Great thing we've seen is just the number of wild birds that have nested in this wood this year. We've got robins, blackbirds, a lot of song thrush. We've had 3 pairs of bullfinch. We've got spotted flycatchers. We've had nuthatch, tree creepers. The tawny owls have done well. We're lucky this year the buzzards have chosen not to nest in this wood, but I'm sure as soon as the poults arrive, they'll be in. So as last year we got our little shanty village around the back here, we've extended this. When we were talking with Joe Madden, and he was extolling the benefits of putting low perches up, trying to get those birds up, even in the breeding pens. Well, we're going to try, we don't have much input at that level yet, but we're going to try and give them plenty of places to shelter and to scramble around on and get up off the ground. So we've got some poles, old hazel poles we cut through the winter. We managed to get some old pallets, so I've just taken every second plank out there, as you can see. So actually they've got somewhere to get up and perch. I think you can see our local blackbirds have already started perching on the top, so something uses it. We've got some of these old corrugated pig ark styles, and then we've made up a few here from wrinkly tin, bits of pallet, and even just little bits of tin lean-to, just to give them something to go for. So we feel that we've got enough areas nicely spread out throughout the whole pen that they can duck under and get some shelter if the weather turns. And we've got them in different directions, so they're not all facing whatever direction the wind's coming from. And we've concentrated a few, these 4 just in this little area here, because we know in previous years they've spent a lot of time in under that holly, going up to roost in the holly and the sycamore and chestnut either side of it. So that was our cunning plan there. Coming back onto the main feed ride, this year we've replaced all the water lines. It wasn't big expense, maybe £100, and we've gone on main reservoirs up top in the cover crop, and our reserve tank halfway down the hill here so we don't get too much pressure. And we've gone 25mm between the big tanks, down to 20mm to the feeders, to the drinkers, sorry. And we've got 14 drinkers now in this line. Now the reason we've gone with the top hat feeders again is this is what the poults will be used to from the rearing grounds. So ideally they'll just come straight in, know what they're all about, and get straight on it. So we've got our little jungle gym here. Another job for this week is just top up a bit of coarse sand in the old IBC igloo there. That was really popular with the birds, just go in, a bit of dust bathing. So we'll need to sort that one out. And we've put quite a few little grit bins around. You probably see that hole dug beside it. That was willow this morning. So we've had the dogs through, make sure there's nothing living in here that oughtn't be. So we've just got a mixture of poultry grit and a bit of oyster shell. Now obviously the oyster shell is more for egg production, but it will provide that bit of grit for them, potentially a bit of calcium. So we've put 3 or 4 of those around in between the feeders. Where that big oak came down over there, we've repaired and replaced that fence. So we've got the 6 feeders up through here. And then for this year, just in case we get that odd dominant cock bird who's bullying the smaller birds off the feed and drink, we've extended the drinker line down here. So we've got another 3 drinkers here, and we'll have another 4 feeders in this bit round here. Now this is the troublesome corner Down the bottom here, this is buzzard corner. This always used to be completely open. A lot of tall trees. The wind's brought down a few of the ash over the years. And we've just opened up some of the hazels, just kept them coppice down. And that's really starting to thicken up now, give it some proper cover to get in under. And then for next year, we'll have a look at this top corner. Again, just try and open it up, get a bit of light in. Now the fences are getting to the end of their life. We really are probably 30% cable ties and 70% fence at the moment. But the posts are still fairly solid. We've had to patch up and make do. And it's a project for another year, is to replace the pen. But we're going to have to do some fundraising and get some money together before we carry on with that. So, take you down to a sort of pheasant's eye point of view. Originally when we took this on, this pen was dark, very sparse, but straight away from a pheasant's perspective now, there's plenty of cover for them to get up under. And then there's some nice open spaces. Hello, Willow. And again for this year, we're going to keep feeding pellet in the pen. As soon as they start making their way up into the covers and a little further afield, we'll probably keep 1 or 2 feeders down here with a little bit of pellet and some cracked maize. But we don't want them to really hold in here for feed, so we'll move half a dozen or so of these feeders up to some of the rides. Up in the cover crops, the 2 bits we've got, and try and encourage the birds to come and hold in those rather than in the pen. So in terms of trying to deal with the buzzards, although people swear by them, all the professionals are pretty convinced that virtually nothing actually works, but we're going to stick with it and hang our CDs up, get the radio on, get the flashing lights on, try and keep the owls off. Because basically there's not a lot else we can try. One thing we'll get done as soon as the birds are ready to go in, so I'll probably do that Thursday just before they arrive, is I'll get a sack of horse carrots and a few old cabbages, and we'll just hang those off some branches. Really just want to give the birds as much to occupy themselves as possible. Give them that first week or 2 to really start seeing this pen as home. Obviously eventually we want them to start wandering when they're a bit more streetwise and a bit more savvy, but whilst they're straight out of the rearing pens and a little naive to the dangers around them, we want to try and keep them occupied and keep them happy in the safety of the pen. Once they're on the move, we'll wind down activities in here, and ideally they'll be out foraging, finding our feeders in the flush points we want them in for the drives come season, and coming back here of an evening to roost. So the focus will change as soon as they start moving, and we're going to try and dog in again this year. It's the 1 week area we have every year, just ability to get here and spend the time. But Joe at the farm's with us this season, so if nothing else he can be our eyes, let us know if the birds are wandering where we don't want them. But having just a single pen nice and central, best we can do. Right, thanks for coming in with us. That's all the time I've got today. I've got to rush off. I'll be back in tomorrow.
Hopefully that's the case.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the woods. It's Wednesday, late afternoon, early evening. I've finally, I think, tracked down the leaks in the water run. So hopefully we've got a quarter IBC tank up there. So we'll run that overnight. I'm coming back tomorrow morning just for final go rounds. Hopefully that won't be empty. Probably here in the background, we've got the radio on. Fences on. I think it was just the battery. This new battery seems to be holding charge and doing its thing. So I'll just show you the radio. This was a huge expense from Amazon, £4. It's a cheap car radio, and just put it in one of those waterproof electric junction boxes. And we've got a car battery in an old cooler box. And for about £3 we found a waterproof speaker, and that's just magnet is just holding it on the clay trap. So right, so we'll just pop in the pen quickly. The birds are arriving Friday, that's still confirmed. So I've done our last checks on bits and bobs, so I'm just going to wander around with you. We'll just get the pop holes opened. Now, I had a bit of a debate on this on one of the Facebook groups, which was really helpful. Do you keep the pop holes closed for the first few days, few weeks whilst the birds are in? And general consensus was definitely keep them open. Makes a lot of sense, because obviously birds used to arrive with the wings clipped, now absolutely not. Main reason for that is obviously in the rearing pens, they're just starting to sputter about, their wings functioning. So if they then get in here and you get their wings clipped, then obviously they've had experience of, if not full flight, then certainly assisted hopping, if you will. And if they've got in here and that's then taken away from them, then obviously they have to get used to that, and that's just an added issue if they're trying to evade predators or get settled in, keep that stress level down. So obviously you're going to get some that are going to get over the fence, so it's as well to have the pop holes open just so we can walk them back in of an evening. We've said before, we'll show you as we go around tonight, we've got some of those raised pop holes, which means the birds can't walk out, but they can walk back in again. But with these ground level ones, we've got this little bit of chicken wire around the front. So we've kept that pushed down whilst we've been preparing the pens. Obviously we don't want anything coming in, but ideally now it's that little cloth shape at the end so the birds can come in, but it's a bit lower so they'll duck down and come in, but generally they're not quite so keen to duck down to go out. So we'll keep an eye on those, and we'll just walk round. Never hurts to have a last quick check of the perimeter. There's always something you're going to miss. It's second day I've been trying the anti-horsefly plastic dragonfly. I've been up in the covers, and there's thousands of the damn things up there coming off the grass fields. And I must admit, I got bitten once yesterday, and only once today. I've got no DEET, no spray, no nothing else on. Save your money, doesn't bloody work. Not on horseflies anyway. So I'm kind of minded to think that there's something in this. You look like a twat, and it keeps catching you in the eye. I've tried to swat it away several times, but I haven't been bitten as often as usual. One thing we've noticed this year, with a huge explosion in the different species of plant and flower and woodland plant that are growing here that used to just be bracken and hazel, and with our covers up the top, we're just seeing huge amounts of butterflies and bees and all sorts of different invertebrates. Now I know this year, being a bit of a drier spring than last couple of years. Does seem to have been a particularly good year for butterflies. But we're seeing loads of species, lots I haven't seen here before. I'm not very good on identifying the butterflies, but I've taken a few pictures and hopefully got some film we can share with you later. See if we can ID some of the species that we're starting to attract. But the ones I do recognise, we've got a load of cabbage white. They seem to be laying eggs and having caterpillars on all our lovely kale. We've got red admirals, painted ladies, seen some small blue hair streaks, tortoise shells. We've had a range of moths. I think I saw a hummingbird moth up on the phasalia today, and quite a few small butterflies I can't recognise, so I shall have to hit the books and hit the tinterwebs. And obviously, if any of you guys recognise them when we put them up on the channel, do let me know. That'd be fantastic to have an idea of what species we've got. And again, that might give us a bit of an indication on the general health of the environment we're trying to create here. I've still got to get the feeders in tomorrow, the last 2 or 3 to go down here, but hopefully you can see behind Joe from Up the Farm has come down and put some straw for us on that feeding ride. So tomorrow is day to get the feed out. So we'll put a bag of pellets in each of the 10 feeders. That should keep them going for the first week. And as soon as we get to the end of that first week, so next weekend, we'll move them straight on to a run of the medicated pellet. Try and get them wormed as quickly as possible, so they'll probably have been wormed in the pens. But there's bound to be a bit of worm egg in the pen area here. You know, their parasitic worms are just everywhere. So in their first week, it's likely they'll pick up a dose. So if we can get on top of that and get them wormed straight away, and then within the 3-week worming cycle, so we'll do a week on standard pellet, week on wormer, 2 weeks on standard pellet, and then another week on wormer. Hopefully that'll break the breeding cycle, give them enough immunity, but also give the young poults a chance to sort of expose themselves to these kind of worms, so they'll get a bit of immunity to that with any degree of luck. And then we should be, fingers crossed, worm free. But just looking over my shoulder there now, that's the work, or the benefit of the work we've done. And I think it looks a lot more hospitable for our disco chickens than perhaps it did in previous years. Good morning, everybody. It's 7 AM. I'm feeling a little weary. Don't do mornings. But here we are, heading over to the shoot. It's the day the birds arrive. Hopefully there'll be a few of us over there, get the young poults down the pens. But right now, having a bacon sandwich and a coffee and heading over to the shoot, pick the birds up and get them down into the woods. So come with us and let's see how they get on their first day. Morning, morning, how are you?
Richard and Tom.
Nice to meet you guys, how are you?
Yeah, Richard's quite happy.
Yeah, it's all stone track down.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'll go ahead and get gates opened and
Yeah.
see you down there.
We'll take one of them with it for fancy.
Yeah. I will take a gate bitch with me.
Yeah, take it.
Here we are. I'll do chickens.
I've been doing it now all my life. I'm 75 now, and
Yeah.
these are the best pheasants I've ever reared.
But you say that to all the girls.
No, honestly. I've got 3,500 at home.
Yeah.
I've lost one in 3 weeks.
Bloody hell.
One.
Bloody hell.
If you'd have said to me last week, I can't make it today,
Yeah.
can you bring them any earlier? I could have bought them last week, no trouble. I'd have never delivered pheasants. They're only 6 weeks and 3 days old now.
Really?
6 weeks and
Christ,
3
they're
days.
big as hell, aren't they? What strain are they?
Byzantis.
Yeah.
That's the sort you've got to have, because
Yeah.
if you do, they'll take on the hill instead of going like this, like
Yeah.
the blueback Kansas. You don't want them.
No.
Waste of time.
No, we had them 1 year and they were dead loss here.
Yeah, waste of time. You know, we've got everything sorted. You've got a radio on. You've got, you know. Tell you what we do. I don't know whether you do it. But
Yeah.
tell you what I do. The electric fence. You see, on a corner like there.
Yeah.
And say there's a bit of a ride going along there. You know, just put a strand out there, because if you watch a fox when he comes at night, he runs round to frighten them out,
Yeah.
and he'll run straight into the electric fucking fence. Like, you know, on this open ground here, like you've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
here,
Yeah.
you just don't do any strimming, but just run a strand up there, and you'll find out that you'll never come anywhere
tag
near
him.
it then.
Yeah, that's
And
good
just for
thinking.
one strand.
Yeah.
You know, if you did it, say, on the size of this pen, 3 strands, one up that hill where you've got no strimming to do,
Yeah.
one up there where there's no strimming, and one down there where deer come down, something like that.
Just tag them off. That's a good shout.
Yeah,
Well, we've got plenty of wire, so
yeah. But they're as wild as cats, the birds are, wild as
Good.
cats.
oh, there we go. The birds are in. Came in nice and calmly this morning, about 8:30, 9 o'clock. They've gone in really, really well, actually. I'm really pleased. It's about 1 o'clock now, so I've just sat and watched them. Just seeing them all settle in. Touch wood, we've had nothing go over the wire yet. None have come out. They seem very, very settled. I think they've got Byzantes this year. And they've taken to those straw rides. They're on the feed as well. There's one actually sitting in the grip bin, so they found those. But they've been straight on the drinkers. They were majoring on the 2 feeders up the top there, but they're now starting to break off. We've ended up with 8 feeders in there, so with 400 birds. We've got 50 birds to a feeder. So we shouldn't get them crowding them out. But they look in really good order. I'm very happy. We haven't had a visit from Mr. Buzzard yet. There was one up high a bit early on this morning, but I don't think he's spotted the birds yet. I mean, it will happen with them, the owls, the sparrowhawks and the goshawks. We are going to lose a few. It's the nature of it, but I just felt it was really important to spend a bit of time with them on their first morning, just by being here, stooging around a little bit, discourage the buzzards coming in, because I think if they get hit hard by the buzzards on their very first day, it can unsettle them. But they've had a good 3 or 4 hours now finding the lay of the land. And the other great thing we've noticed, unlike other years, now we've got this better cover in the middle and all the different perches and pens and bits of brash wood and everything for them to get in under. They're not parading around the fence. In fact, early on they came up the top of the bank, round the fence and back down again, and they haven't been on the fence line since. So it's very much early days. Well, it's very much the first day, but I'm pleased they've gone in nicely. We've got a beautiful day for it. A bit of breeze, it's not too hot. Don't think we've got rain forecast for the next couple of days, so fingers crossed they can establish themselves without too much bother, and quite quickly as they get to know the habitat and they start to grow on, they become a bit more savvy to predators and the losses will go down. But yeah, well, early doors seems quite promising. So we've put some maize in the straw, just some micronized cornflake maize, just give them something to pick at. And we treated them a little bit. We put about half a kilo of dried mealworm in the straw. The robins have found that straight away, so the blackbirds, but looks like our poults are starting to pick those up. I think I'll just give them something to scratch around at and a bit of variety in the diet and just keep them interested. So I'm going to head off now and have a late lunch. And I think Gary's coming in just for a walk around this afternoon, this evening, see how they've gone. And then the anxious waiting and watching begins. Yeah, I'll leave them to the afternoon play on Radio 4. Get them out in the sun and come and see them later. Good first morning.